Thank you, Professor, for providing us with very important information on what factors the developing country need to consider in order to have a successful special economic zone. Now, we can separate Professor's comment into two parts, I believe. One is for the national level, another one is cross-border level. Now, for national level, obviously, the one need to consider the facilitation services, like facilitating the logistics, facilitating all other services in order to help the foreign investors, make them feel comfortable. And also, the second effect is the linkage between the foreign and the local firms, especially the ones inside the zone. Why do we need to do that? Because in this way, the spillover effect can also help the local companies to grow. Now, these are the examples of the national level of special economic zone. Now, when we talk about the cross-border, it is then quite tricky. Now, obviously, Professor gave some examples. For example, you have bottom-up approach, you have top-down approach, and you have third-party approach who help bring two parties together to negotiate, maybe promote social cohesion, also help to understand each other's culture in order to smooth the process of the cross-border zone and maybe hopefully have a greater result. Now, Professor, since we have a smidge little time left, can you give us probably some idea about the difference between Chinese and Indian special economic zones? Thank you, Professor. Now, for the final question, I understand that India actually has a longer special economic zone history than China. I think India started in 1948, 58? 65, yes. What's the difference between the two? Yeah.
Actually, there is a lot of difference.
That's a tough question.
It's a long question, I would say, because I'm doing a paper on this along with a Chinese professor here in Fudan University. So actually, the two countries started with very different goals, objectives, vision, and scale. So India started on a very small scale with very narrow vision. And because the vision was very narrow, it was merely to earn foreign exchange to support import substituting industrialization, which was taking place outside the SEZs. These SEZs could not really succeed because whatever was the kind of regulatory regime outside, the same regime was replicated within SEZs. So there was hardly any facilitation. So SEZs could not really grow the way they should have. China adopted a very different philosophy and very different vision. They actually already had a large manufacturing share when they started in 1979 because of their historical characteristics. But they wanted to modernize. They wanted foreign capital. They wanted foreign technology on a large scale so that it spills over to the domestic mainland. This was not the idea in India. They just wanted foreign exchange from those small areas. But then they have these large, open, comprehensive zones which were very well connected with the domestic mainland. They were succeeded in attracting a lot of FDI because there was so much of facilitation. And not only that, large markets of China, they were a sort of attraction for foreign companies to come here and explore, and then their own diaspora in Hong Kong that really helped in the initial stages. And then, of course, there was a lot of from the West as FDI from the West as well. So China actually succeeded where India could not succeed that much in the beginning because the vision was not there. But let me just, if you allow me, in 2005 we were actually motivated by this Chinese experiment, and we thought that we should also have large special economic zones, so we created larger ones. And now the idea was not to earn foreign exchange, but to have promotion of economic activity. So that was the whole idea. But then these zones could not really succeed much again. So this was the second time we felt that we could not succeed with this experiment again. Yeah. This was because some of these ancillary issues like land acquisition and things, they were not really taken care of. So when land was acquired for industrialization, there was a sort of protest.
Yes, I heard that from certain Pradesh there, actually. Yeah.
Yes, and the public opinion was totally against special economic zones, and that actually affected the governments. And governments started backtracking. And then eventually it has taken away, and it will be taking away all the incentives from special economic zones. But I would say that despite all that crisis and despite all that disastrous experiment, IT zones, information technology zones, they are still successful because they are small in size. Yeah. India already had comparative advantage in the IT sector. So they actually, many people don't say that they don't really recognize that as success, because they say that IT was already successful. So what is a contribution of special economic zone? This is a kind of normal question that is posed by experts in India. But the fact is that special economic zones allowed those companies to grow large, which was not really possible outside of SEZs because of land constraint and because of many other factors in India, labor. Within SEZs, they could grow, they could expand, and I think they generated a lot of additional activity and they sustained their growth over the years. Yeah. So in that context, in that sense, I would say that they did contribute to the growth of the IT sector despite all that. But the prospects are not that bright because by 2020, all direct incentives would be withdrawn.
Oh.
So there is very little for them to be there. And outside of SEZs, the incentives have been upscaled. So
there's no point staying there.
So there is no, exactly.
Yeah.
So perhaps we could not really understand. Perhaps we were never committed to SEZs the way China was. So China actually started with that vision, and then it continuously upgraded. Yeah. Not only its existing zones, but it also added to new varieties of zones. Yeah. So they experimented with newer ideas and with newer varieties, and I think that was the key. So policy continuity and commitment, will, is very important for this program to succeed.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Professor. Thank you for being here with us today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And that's all. So thank you for watching. I'm George Liu. Stay smart, stay intelligent. I'll see you next time. Thank you very much, Professor, for providing us such insightful information about Special Economic Zone. Unfortunately, now it's time to end. So before the show, we have collected all your queries through our survey. First of all, thank you very much for participating in the survey. And as I can see, there's quite a lot of questions floating in through to our live stream platform as well. So unfortunately, due to the time constraint, we can't answer all your questions all at once. So what we will do is, we will collect all the information about your queries, the ones that we collected before the show, and also the ones that we collected now. We are going to lead that to the next mini-series. And also on that, we will again ask the professor to come in either physically here or through somewhere around the world that has internet to do a live stream to answer all your questions. So please stay tuned to the next mini-series. Before we finish, once again, I would like to thank you all for joining us today. Also the ones, probably in the midnight now, watching us here in China, Shanghai. So thank you very much. Stay smart, stay intelligent. I'm George Liu. I will see you again. Goodbye.